everyone. This week we have an interview with Bri. Today we get to hear about her life and her experience with her son, Levi. Hello,
Mhm.
Bri. It's great to meet you.
Hi, it's nice to meet you too.
So, Bri, tell us a little bit about yourself and your family, such as what would you like our viewers to know about you? This can be anything about your family, your hobbies, where you're from, etc.
Okay, um, where to begin? As of right now, we're just a family of three. Levi's our only kid, but we are going to have another baby in December. So Levi will be a big brother. Um,
Congratulations.
Yeah,
thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I take care of Levi, and keeps me pretty busy. My husband's a pilot, so he will be working for SkyWest here pretty soon. Just working on the West Coast. So we'll be able to travel hopefully some. Yeah, we live in Utah. We are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which has helped so much with Levi's diagnosis, just to make sense of all of it. That's just something that's helped us. And yeah, we love the outdoors. We love trying to take Levi as much as we can outside. He loves it. He loves swimming. So we go swimming a lot. But yeah.
Well, that's great to hear. Moving on, would you mind describing your son's condition, maybe telling us the story of how he was diagnosed?
Yeah. So starting from the beginning, I had a healthy pregnancy. I went the entire time thinking that everything was fine. I felt great. The birth was great. He was born 4 pounds, 4 pounds and 8 ounces. But my placenta was really small. And so they were just like, that happens sometimes, that they didn't really look into it. He stayed 1 extra day in the hospital. He had a hard time passing tests and things like that, like the car seat tests they make them do, or his blood sugars, and he was jaundiced and all of that. But eventually we were able to be sent home just an extra day after. It wasn't until he was about 3 months old that we were starting to ask questions as to like why he wasn't able to lift his head up, or why he wasn't looking at our faces, or just those little things that you kind of start to look for when they're not a newborn anymore. And again, it was just kind of more, sometimes kids are a little slower than the rest of them, which was really hard because for months, I just like felt it in my mom gut that there was something wrong, but it was just always like, you're a first time mom, you're good, that's going to happen. But it was around about 3 months when they noticed his head wasn't growing, and it was just falling behind on the chart. And so they labeled him with microcephaly, and they tested for another thing that they thought he had, which was like craniosynostosis. They thought the skull was forming together sooner than it needed to. It wasn't, but because of that, what they thought he had, it led to further testing, which they found the calcifications on his brain, which led to an MRI, which found that his brain was completely abnormal. So with his diagnosis, he has spastic quadriplegic cerebral palsy. So he is affected by all 4 limbs, and he has very tight muscles. He does have microcephaly, so he's got a little bit of a smaller noggin. But he has cortical visual impairment, so he only really can see light, reds, pinks, really bright colors like that. Luckily, and I probably should back up. And the reason why he has all of this, because of his brain injury, was because I contracted a virus while I was pregnant called CMV, or cytomegalovirus. And the doctors at Primary Children's, or the specialists, think that because he's so severely affected, I got that early on in pregnancy, because the earlier you get it or are exposed to it for the very first time, it's a worse outcome. Not always, but it can be. And for Levi, it was. So that's what caused him to be small. That's what caused his brain to not develop correctly, and what caused all of his other things that he has to deal with. But yeah, I mean, it's a whole in-depth thing, so I can clarify anything that I missed. But luckily with the CMV, usually the most common symptom of CMV is hearing loss. Luckily he doesn't have any hearing loss right now. He has a teeny bit, but not enough to warrant any hearing aids. So we just continue to test his ears every 3 months, but his hearing is a superpower. But yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing all of that information. That was, really insightful about the virus and, all of the different things that can happen. And I would also like to say that Levi is really adorable.
He is very cute.
He's adorable.
He's kind of a loud breather. He's got some really big adenoids, so we're going to be taking those out soon. So I promise he's not sick. He just likes to breathe really loud.
And you kind of went into this a little bit, but could you elaborate on how your family was impacted by his condition?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, at first it was really hard, especially when we didn't know everything that was going on yet. I mean, it was really hard to say, to not have him smile at me, where I have other friends who have babies that were smiling at them, and that was really, really hard. But once we figured out his diagnosis, the CMV, of course that was super hard, and it was really hard for me because I contracted that while I was pregnant. I mean I feel like it's pretty second natured for a mom to just automatically feel that guilt and feel like it was all my fault and that's what caused him to be this way. But I mean, it just, seriously, it wasn't, if it weren't for my husband to be that rock and to be there and to help, talk me through it and everything, it really, I feel pretty lucky, because I feel like those feelings didn't have to harbor there for so long. Because I mean, after learning about Levi's diagnosis and that there really wasn't anything I could do to prevent it, it really changed a lot of outlooks for me, that he is just the way that he is supposed to be, as hard as that is sometimes. But yeah, I mean, it was hard for those first few months of trying to learn all the diagnoses that he had. That was really hard, and it was new, and we're trying to navigate parenthood, first time parenthood, and also all these ailments that he's got. But it just, I feel like now it's impacted us for the better. As hard as all of his trials are, he doesn't know any different. He's happy the way he is, and so it's really impacted us in a way that we have really taken a step back and really realized how important, just how blessed we are to do so many things that we don't even have to think about, where Levi has to try a little harder. So it really makes us appreciative of the things that we can do, but also appreciative of the things that he can do, the things that he just loves to do, listen to people's voices and listen to music and he appreciates those things so much more. And, life doesn't have to be extravagant for it to be wonderful. And Levi shows that every day. Like, he is so happy the way that he is.
That's a really positive outlook and honestly really inspiring. And I'd also like to say that you and your family are really strong for getting through all of it, keeping your head up. Um, Moving on, how would you describe your experiences with healthcare professionals and the healthcare industry in general? And if your experience wasn't the best, are there any reforms that you would like to implement at some point?
Yeah, we have had a really good experience with healthcare professionals. We work with lots of specialists, especially like his neurologist. I mean, when she was the one that kind of explained about his brain injury and just laid it to us flat what was going to be. And it was just, I mean, we've been so lucky. We really have. We really felt like we've been heard as far as, oops, sorry. There we go. We really feel like we've been heard as far as everything, like our concerns and our values. It's not always perfect. It's not a perfect system. I would say that it was really hard for me to accept that his diagnosis came pretty late. I would say that we live in a smaller town, and so I think the doctor that we went with, his pediatrician, he's great and he's a smart man, but not experienced with more complicated situations. And so I felt like there were things that were missed, and I was pretty upset for a while about how we didn't test for more things when he did fail his first hearing test when he was a newborn. And he passed the second one just fine, but I felt like that should have been enough to warrant maybe more reason behind why he was the way that he was. So, I mean, I would say that it's hard because I would like for maybe just more awareness for CMV. But I mean, like, as far as the doctors that we've worked with, we've been very, very, very lucky.
Well, you shared a lot of unique experiences, and is there anything that any lesson that you have learned from having a son that lives with a rare disease? And is there any advice that you would like to give to patients or advocates and caretakers?
I think the main thing for me would be, first and foremost, like I am Levi's mom. I'm not just his caregiver. And so there are days where, it's easy to get wrapped up in the comparison of even just other special needs families and seeing maybe they're able to give them so much more therapy, or, they're able to afford more for, for their child. And for us, that's not always the case. We're a pretty young family that we're just starting out. And so it's not always possible for us to just give them everything. We try as hard as we can. We work very, very hard too. But you know what? Like, he, that's okay. And we will work towards to get him more therapy eventually. But I don't think that's something to settle on and to be sad about, because I think the best therapy is family. There's days that we don't really do much. We just snuggle. And I think sometimes you need that to just reset and just appreciate each other and not get focused on progression always, because sometimes that can get very frustrating when there isn't always progression. But being a parent of a disabled child is so much more rewarding than I ever would have thought. I mean, that you always hear that, parents when they're pregnant, it's just like, I don't care what I'm having. I don't care if it's a boy or girl, as long as they're healthy. And sometimes they're not healthy. And it's, you know, it's just such a beautiful journey. And I'm like totally gonna be emotional about this, but he just has the most special spirit. And people feel that. I mean, people have stopped me in grocery stores because people have started to notice that he is a little different, but he is so sweet. And just like I said, he just doesn't know any different. Like, he is happy just to be with his mom and dad, and happy to you know, just just be around people and to enjoy life the way that he has to. And I think that's just awesome.
I think that was excellent advice to, not just people who have to live with others who have rare diseases or have them themselves, but everyone, especially that family, is great therapy,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the best therapy. And
Yeah.
once again, although I said it before, I would just like to say that you and your family are incredibly strong and really inspirational for everyone, really.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And that actually concludes all of the questions that we have for you today. And we would just
Okay.
like to thank you for giving us really great answers and a lot of information that I think that was really unique and insightful and inspiring, like I said.